Hi, I'm La Bourgeois, and I am the lesbian housewife. And that's housewife with a Y, so HOUSEWYFE. And since I use the term housewife, I like to make it clear that I am not some weirdo political conservative lesbian who role plays a strange subservient relationship with her wife. Though if you do this and like it, have fun, to each their own. Who I am is a 55-year-old lady who appreciates being called ma'am, loves her little Macalaca dog, and is looking forward to celebrating my 33rd anniversary with my sweet love in November. In my work, you'll find gardening and other household tips, celebrations of baking, knitting, and jam making, and nostalgic comfort alongside the occasional dive into political rants. I mean, explanations of issues affecting women and the LGBTQIA2S plus community. Today, I'm reading an essay from my upcoming book, The Lesbian Housewife's Guide to Surviving Resilience. So I hope you enjoy Putin Ruined My Marmalade. Chop, chop, chop. Russian air raids destroy Ukrainian cities. A sharp citrus scent surrounds me as I slice mandarin peel into thin strips. Tanks and troops roll across the border. President Biden's stern voice announces sanctions against Russia as those strips join the chopped flesh in a metal bowl. Panic squeezes my heart until the bowl sits heavy on the counter. Many mandarin oranges sacrificed themselves as I listened to the U.S. response to the invasion of Ukraine. When I panic and there's nothing else I can do, I make jam. I track this particular behavior back to the year that we bought a fruit share as part of our CSA and a staph infection blossomed in my wife's leg. In case you don't know, CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. These subscriptions provide a way for people to eat local and support regional farmers with their guaranteed purchase of regularly delivered shares of fresh fruit and veggies. Over the end of that summer, the torrent of apricots, peaches, plums, pears, and apples descended upon me with sweet promise, even as my love battled the worst of that staph infection through surgeries and hospital stays and doctor visits and IV medications. I didn't know how to help her, but I did know how to make jam. My panic produced multiple jars of jams, jellies, preserves, and butters for each of my friends and family as Christmas gifts that year, and the year after that. So when the news emerged about the Russian army invading Ukraine, my vision skewered half a bag of slightly sour mandarins in a basket on the counter. Time for an experiment. Marmalade. After adding the peel and fruit to the bowl during initial reports, I covered them with water and stored it in the refrigerator overnight for the peel to plump and the pectin to develop. The next day, as the news from the invasion continued to roll through my consciousness, I added sugar and heated the concoction. With any sort of sweet fruit preserve, especially if you aren't using a store-bought pectin, precision matters. The moment is pretty darn slim between, I think this is almost ready, and oh, shinky, it's candy now. When the marmalade seemed gelled enough, I took a little out to test by putting it in a small pool on a plate and sticking it in the freezer. But then I continued to cook it for 2 minutes while the jam cooled. No, no, no. Why did I do that? Because stupid war. The marmalade thickened into little jars of candied peel, but in a pry gobs of it out of the jar and gnaw kind of way, rather than the more genteel pluck a strand and delicately chew. Ridiculous Russian twat-waddle. I gouged a chunk out of one of the jars and plopped the mass on a slice of fresh homemade sourdough bread. The sweetness complemented the tang and delivered a balanced, if overly chewy, bite. Putin ruined my marmalade. At my wife's suggestion, I added a little water to the marmalade jar and let it sit to allow the concoction to morph from a solid to a gel. This left my marmalade viable for my use on toast, but not a marmalade I'll share with guests. But I won't give up. Just like the Ukrainians will never surrender, but rather continue to use their imagination and determination to battle the Russians. I will make another attempt at it when I have extra citrus around. The bitter edge of this candy jam is hard to resist, and I'm smearing it across my sunflower butter toast each morning. Panic brings out the preserver in me. What else can I turn into jam? Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find my first book, Diary of a Lesbian Housewife, at Whimsy Mercantile in Lansing and Buffalo Street Books in Ithaca. Yay, yay for independent booksellers. And you can get weekly delightful diary entries from the Lesbian Housewife each week by signing up at Lesbian Housewife, and that's LESBIANHOUSEWYFE.substack.com.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
And take it away.
I am Akua Lezli Hope. My pronouns are she, her. I'm speaking to you from the ancestral land of the Onondaga, also known as the Seneca, keepers of the Western Door in the Southern Finger Lakes region of New York State. I pay homage to the Seneca, past, present, and future, as I do to my own ancestors by whose grace I exist and am sustained. I'm the editor of the first anthology of BIPOC speculative poetry entitled Nombono, and I'm the creator of the Speculative Sundays poetry reading series, now in its 6th year, having presented over 50 speculative poets. I've won a bunch of stuff and I've been in print since 1974, but let me tell you about speculative poetry. Speculative poetry, ancient of days, older than the flood, the poetry of possibilities, centers the imagined as real. The first recorded human literature was speculative verse. Gilgamesh, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Iliad and Odyssey, Beowulf are ancient examples, from nursery rhymes to Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, from Puff the Magic Dragon to Zombie Jamboree. We've all recited and sung speculative poetry. Have I got you thinking about some of those other speculative poems put into song? I'm going to read you 4. The first was the Ignite Award winner for 2024, My Mother, She Ate Me. Thought it would be a good transition from our last gastronomic reading. My mother, she ate me. Our mother was always eating us. She ate me. She ate all her babies, she said proudly. Through her we came, and to her we might return in bits. She made us and would tell me, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. One of her many threats, like wipe that smile off your face, watch your mouth, fix your face, which was hard to do having been bitten, but good therianthropic training for my shape-shifting future. I had a father, too. He could fix many things, and my face. He was brave and would do this while she was looking, but not so she could see. Would tell me in my head, it's okay, baby, I got you. Holding a buffer pattern of my original whole so I could be reconstituted and transmitted forward. My mother, she ate me. I love whales. I write about whales. And this is one of a number of whale poems, and it appeared in the magazine of science fiction and fantasy, Whale Talk. Sperm whale emanations paralyzed the diver's hand for 4 hours. He had put forward that tiny bit of frail human architecture. Their clicks stunned it still. They don't engage the submersible nor the equipment-burdened body. You must present yourself unencumbered and unshielded, and hear their unspooling speech, which voyages deep, wet distances. Speech which spans a globe of liquid surrounding a roiling molten heart. Speech traversing realms and territories of nation states freely. Speech which doubtless does as much as it undoes, clicks you from the inside out, moves as much as it halts from brains 6 times larger than ours, possessed 15 million years longer. Dense spindles packing each micro measure with sonic layers of multiple meaning, holds within its music power, within its power magic. Sperm whale, come speak me whole. Whale talk. Never survive an apocalypse. Never try to prove there's nothing to be scared of. Never move to a remote cabin in the woods. Never pick up strange stuff off the ground. Never give a confession in a strange town. Never go to a boarding school. Never say what frightens you. Never move to a small town. Never lie to a psychic child. Never date a mad scientist. Never go to church at night. Never pick up hitchhikers. Never open the door. Never try to escape. Never leave the car. Never investigate. Never speculate. Never go so far. Never borrow. Never follow. Never touch. Never wait. Never lead. Never stop. Never go. Never stay. Never risk. Never ask. Never lend. Never go alone. Never stay alone. Never look up. Never not look down, never look around, never survive an apocalypse now. This last poem is about Yemaya, a goddess who traveled from West Africa, and she's depicted as a twin-tailed mermaid. I like mermaids a lot, have a lot of mermaid poems, but I think this one sort of sums it all up. And it's published in my collection Otherwares, which won the Elgin Award, as Yemaya. When I was paralyzed, my 2 legs felt as one, sparking something that began below my waist. Disconnected from my will, they floated on their own in a sea of perception, embraced everywhere, sensate and sinuous. I swam up from brokenness into dream, darting in 3 dimensions, as unafraid of up as down, as skillful with left as right. My great lungs fill with air, my long arms strengthen with each sure stroke as I plunge toward my sister. Pink and black, leatherback turtle who does not blink as we match motions and dance. And all around me, light from water crossing foremothers who did not fly, but swam and sang across hidden valleys and bird-furried mountains, as humpbacks do, all around the globe at once, in a chorus of continuance, history sharing, like right whales who survived their Holocaust, carry memory for hundreds of years, outlive generations of miscreants and murderers, unforgotten wounds, now mere tattoos and testament to what endures. And they told me, though land forsakes, consigns me to the chair, wheels me in the corner, beyond the edge, water, boys, and welcomes, and her wide board crinolined flippers gleam in dusk, sparkle at dawn, flare at midday, beckon remembrance as she sirens return. As Yemaya. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so I'm going to do a few poems. The topic is resilience. How do I learn to accept my flaws? How do I break down this guard that I put up like a wall? How do I heal my scars when they were always picked at? How could this psychological wound be cured when there's still mistreatment? How could this open cut be closed? Because now I'm susceptible to infection, seeking attention because I'm looking for relief and connection. And these distractions help me forget that there is dis-ease. So where do I go? I keep trying to find a place to hide, running away, but the answer was to look inside. So used to be abandoned that I abandoned myself. So addicted to pain that I started to hurt myself. So conditioned by lies that I started lying to myself until you came along and stood by my side. You were the source. Oh, sorry. Oh, goodness. Okay. So addicted to pain that I started to hurt myself, so conditioned by lies that I started lying to myself until you came along and stood by my side. You were the source of a love I always needed and couldn't deny. I felt like I've always known you, but somehow forgot you. And our distance made us stronger, a bond that was inevitable. You helped me to remember who I was before I was ever bruised. You taught me forgiveness. You were my muse. You were there for my worst and there at my best, and you still loved me the same and didn't lose interest. All I am is because of you. You taught me to be grounded on who I am, even when uncomfortable. You gave me the remedy to all my suffering, helped me to find strength through every letdown. You lifted me up, filled my cup, help me to move and be free when I felt stuck. You are my medicine that never runs out. You helped me to purge out my fear and doubt. You are my keeper, my infinite love that won't go away. You are my sunshine that I look forward to seeing every day. I was lost before I found you. Thank you, God, for showing me the way. So peace and love, everyone. My name is Bubblesz. I am a multidisciplinary artist, a certified art therapy practitioner, holistic healer, spiritual counselor, a teacher, and I'm just really passionate about sharing healing through art and resilience through art and throughout whatever challenges that may happen to your life, that you can use art as a form of healing and art as a form of liberation. Excuse my background. I didn't get to a quiet space, but I'm Brazilian through it all still.
Thank you. Are you in Brooklyn?
Pardon?
Are you in Brooklyn?
No, I'm actually about to go to, I live in Long Island, so I'm at the station. Mhm.
Oh my goodness. That's what I love about Zoom, that we could bring people in from far and wide. So
Yeah.
thank you, and put your you could put your website. You have a website, right? I could put that in the chat for you.
Yeah, it's bubblesthecreative.com, and it's Bubblesz with the S and the Z, thecreative.com. And that's also my my Instagram.
There you are. Hello.
Hello, everyone. So in my bio, I have empowering partner to organizations, author, I'm working on book 2, former South African diplomat, former Big Four consultant, post-PTSD thriver, and rocker, even if I say so of myself, of a badass phoenix tattoo. And all of this is weaved into my work and writing. I'm going to be reading from book 2. It's part of a 2-book series called On the Road to Jericho. And the blurb on the book would be, it's a story about Eleanor Williams. Bombs couldn't break her in South Africa. War couldn't stop her in Palestine. But on an ordinary Tuesday in corporate America, crumpled on the office bathroom floor, Eleanor Williams discovers sometimes the most violent weapons are words, and that the hardest part of survival isn't staying alive, it's staying yourself. Eleanor Williams has always had impeccable or terrible timing, depending on how you look at it. She launches her diplomatic career during Nelson Mandela's inauguration in South Africa, moves to Palestine as the peace process begins to crumble, and arrives in America just before 9/11, which is where book 2 picks up. From the ashes of apartheid to the complexities of the Middle East, Eleanor discovers that resilience, seems to be a theme, isn't about never breaking. It's about how you put yourself back together. And that the most powerful act of resistance is simply being yourself in a world that wants something else. Book 1 is available as an ebook, as an audiobook, or for free on Substack. And I will drop those links in the chat when I am done. I was going to read the opening chapter for book 2, but it's too long. So I've picked something a little further along. The backstory is Eleanor has recently arrived in Ithaca, New York, to complete an MBA at Cornell University. And she arrived in August 2001, a month before 9/11, and coming straight from a posting as a South African diplomat in Palestine, where she was the acting head of mission during the Second Palestinian Intifada, which as of 2001 is still very much raging. I'm reading 2 short extracts. Ithaca, 2001. There's no such thing. The minute the words are out of my mouth, I regret them. What were you doing before you came to Ithaca? Such an innocent question from one of my 250 new classmates. I was a South African diplomat in Palestine. By now, I know I should know better, but sometimes I just can't stand it anymore. The constant self-censoring and tiptoeing around everyone's feelings post that day. It's like only the Americans have lost something. And then there it is, the instantaneous, visible stiffening and recoil. But fuck it, it's the truth. There's no such place as Palestine. Actually, there is. I lived there for 4 years. Well, it's not a state anyone recognizes. Actually, more than half the states in the world recognize Palestine as a state. Well, not the United States. And there you have it. Because America doesn't recognize the state of Palestine, it doesn't exist. America, it, and only it, is the holder of the truth. Exactly. Maybe if America did recognize the state of Palestine, we'd already have peace in the Middle East, I snapped back. I'm so done with this shit. Yeah, well, Palestinians need to end their violence. They need to act like a state before they deserve to be recognized like one. Oh, let's blame the victim, shall we? I retort, letting my voice drip with disdain, my face hardening even as the heat rises uncomfortably. How are they supposed to act like a state, whatever that means, when they have none of the powers of a state because Israel won't let them? He shifts his weight uncomfortably from one foot to the other, clenching his jaw. They don't even control their own water or roads, I push in, or their own agriculture or economy. On the periphery, I'm aware of silence, attention, but my focus is on this insufferable twit in front of me. And America won its independence because it went nicely to Mama England and says, please recognize us as a state. I'll behave nicely, I promise. I let out a bitter laugh. He opens his mouth to respond. I cut him off. Please understand what you're talking about before making proclamations. I turn on my heel and walk away, seething. It's pointless. It's utterly pointless. They're not open to any point of view but their own. And if I dare to speak the actual truth, then God help me, I'm an Islamic sympathizer and condoner of terrorism. I resolve to just stop talking. Maybe it's easier that way after all. My teammate hands back the first draft write-up I was tasked with by the group. It's swimming in red ink. Suddenly, I'm back in Ramallah, Francois handing me back a marked up copy of a report he tasked me with. You keep using the word orientate, says my teammate. It's orient. There's no such word as orientate, he adds with smug superiority. The words are out before I know it. Oh, so you're giving the English Lit major a lecture in English, are you? No need to get all huffy, Miss Smarty Pants. Now I'm back at St. Anne's. The taunting of my classmates. Run, get the dictionary. Eleanor's using her big words again. Well, it's orientate, I say. Look it up. It's in the dictionary. Maybe in your backward neck of the woods, but not here in the US, he riposts. I feel like exploding with anger. The condescension, the serene self-righteousness of my American classmates. Honestly, I want to wring their necks sometimes. They have no clue. Just no clue at all. Fine, I'll dumb it down to your level then. I snatch up the paper and storm off. Did I make a mistake? I was so sure coming here and getting my MBA was the right next move. Maybe I've got it all wrong. This America is not the America I expected. It's a poky little office down here on the basement floor of the university's health building. It's comfortably enough furnished. 2 deep armchairs, a small desk in the corner, 2 lamps to soften the dimness from the single small window, and the harsh overhead lighting kept off. To keep us comfortable, I guess. I'm not here voluntarily, but sleepless nights and inability to concentrate have finally driven me to one of the university doctors. She's prescribed meds on the condition I sit and talk with this person. Talking is the last thing I want to do. Tell me about, she looks down at her notebook on her lap, adjusting her glasses. Palestine. The anger, always just there, pokes its head up eagerly, pushing against reason. So I tell her of bombs and bullets, tear gas and smoke, of stones and helicopters, and of the maw of a tank turret threatening annihilation. That must have been so hard, she finally says, shifting slightly in her seat, not quite making eye contact. I look at her in disbelief. Are you fucking kidding me? Hard? Hard? That's all she can come up with? That must have been so hard. No shit. I'm done. Done with trying to explain. Done with no one having a clue but everyone having an opinion. All the while tucked up in their sweet, safe, naive American lives. How would they like to go from a peace process to a prison? Their every movement constrained. Checkpoints sprouting like mushrooms. Soldiers, settlers jittery, fingers on the trigger. The mood so explosive it can erupt in a heartbeat. Coming to a checkpoint, slowing, stopping, getting the proceed sign, and the next thing you know, you have an Uzi in your face. Hard? Hard? You have no damn clue, I seethe as I sit there in this comfortable little office on this comfortable armchair, while my heart yearns for friends back there. Mourning the lost fun, the hikes, the adventures, our boundless capacity for mischief and hijinks. I stomach it out to the end of the session, then pick up my bags and leave. I never go back. I swallow the meds. I study, and study, and study. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I get a coveted summer internship in investment banking. Is this what I really want? I doubt it, but it's one more step away from it all. You live a charmed life. Reggie's words in Jerusalem come back to me. Only from the outside looking in, I say back to him. I swallow the meds.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Erica Rose Eberhart, and I am a queer disabled fantasy author who lives here in Ithaca. I write both young adult and adult books with peculiar circumstances happening to characters who are queer and neurodivergent, disabled, and so much more. I'm going to be reading from my debut novel, Tarnished, which has sometimes been called a cozy fantasy, and it's pretty light. But I wanted to write this book to give representation to bisexual main characters, and having a romantic relationship of a knight and a princess in a way that I never saw growing up, and hoping that people who read this that are teenagers or young adults, that perhaps they'll see themselves in the book rather than questioning what to call themselves, as I did when I was that age. So I'm going to start with just the first chapter, and only read part of it at that. Chapter 1. The blood from the body on the cart smelled like crushed berries left in the summer sun for too long, sickeningly sweet while still bitter and wrongly enticing. When the royal hunters approached the northern gate, the scent hung thick in the late summer air. Midnight blue blood spread over the haphazardly tossed white cloth that covered the decapitated form of a woman, gathering at the tips of the fabric and dripping off in a trail behind the cart. The cart rolled to a stop in front of Aelith McCree, who frowned at the corpse. She took 3 of her men. We'll come back for what remains of them later. The hunter walking beside the cart smiled at Aelith. The short sword hanging at his side still dripped blue blood. But we got her anyway. He patted the uncovered head placed proudly on top of the cart, a woman's head by all appearance, until you noticed her pale skin had a slightly green hue, the ripple of gills just behind her ears and rows of pointed teeth in her open mouth, all the telltale imagery of a caroling countess. A tickling of unease rose along Aelith's neck as she looked at the corpse. She shifted on her feet, attempting to appear unbothered. The guard didn't notice her discomfort, or perhaps he didn't care. King Kearney will be glad, don't you agree? Aye, leave her be, the driver of the cart chided. Another hunter, older than the one on foot, and more kind. He offered Aelith a soft smile. You're the same guard when we left yesterday afternoon. Haven't you finished your shift? Aelith pressed her lips together and shook her head. The scent of the countess's blood filled her nostrils and made her queasy. This was the closest she ever came to a countess, although she heard the creature's song for a fortnight and witnessed men leave through the northern gate never to return. Now she lay before Aelith on the cart, her eyes vacant and cloudy. One of her hands, so human-like, besides her nails ending in clawed points, stretched forward as if begging Aelith for aid. I worked a double, she admitted, pulling her gaze from the creature to the driver. Beyond them, on the path toward the city, another guard appeared. Aelith nodded toward him, relief filling her. And that is my replacement now. Hop on back, we'll give you a ride as far as the castle. You can sit with me, the hunter standing beside her said, grinning with stained teeth and hungry eyes. Aelith took a step back and felt her insides curl. Or you can ride up in front with me, the driver offered, patting the seat. Aelith was tired, and riding the cart would at least get her home sooner. His was an offer that Aelith could stomach. Castle walls loomed beside them before yips and cheers from royal guards sounded from above. Everyone was seemingly thrilled to see one more magical creature dead, understandable considering their existence was illegal. But the cheers left Aelith shrinking in her seat, brushing her loose brown hair from her face whilst wheeling the cart forward, unwilling to be perceived by anyone else. It's nasty business, the driver, his voice softer, only for Aelith's ears. She put up quite the fight and consumed 2 of her men. She broke the third in half and scattered him like grain tossed to chickens. But that's the expectation of our job, same as you're expected to check the carts that pass through the northern gate. In the end, just keep this between you and me, she was only doing what she was born to do, singing by that lake, killing anyone who came too close. I doubt she knew any other way. It was what she was meant for. We all do what we have to in order to get by. Aelith smiled at that, glancing at the man as the cart turned toward the castle entrance. Well, thank you for the ride. I'm sure King Kearney will be thrilled by your accomplishment. He always is, the man replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Slowing the cart, Aelith climbed off and continued down the main thoroughfare towards home. She worked doubles frequently, gathering as much coin as she could to help her household survive, but the exhaustion from constant work was poisoning her body, making her muscles ache and her joints stiff. She only wanted the comfort of her mattress in the little room she shared with her parents' caregiver, Gwen, until she had to rise for the next shift that night. Such desires seemed foolish, she realized, as her dilapidated home came into view and a figure waited outside. It could never be so simple as to go home and take a nap. Pausing her step, Aelith sucked in a deep breath before propelling herself forward, turning her gaze down as she sidestepped the figure and pulled at the doorknob to her home. Excuse me, are you Aelith McCree? The figure moved forward, ignoring Aelith's unwelcoming posture. The door clung to the frame, sticking closed as the hinges succumbed to rust. Aelith cursed under her breath as at the door, not for the first time, nor likely the last until she had enough coin for supplies to fix it. She glanced at the figure, who shifted closer and pulled back their hood, revealing a kind, round face surrounded by a graying mass of curls. Her brown eyes were large and tender, and she offered a tentative smile with the air of a woman who wiped away tears and healed scraped knees. I apologize for bothering you. I know you've been working long shifts at the gate, but I must speak with you. Aelith bristled and threw her shoulder into the door, finally pushing it open with an audible groan. The stranger's accent was of Braywick City locals, yet with a crispness often associated with the royal family. That, paired with the high quality of her clothes and alarming familiarity with Aelith's work schedule, seemed to confirm she was from the palace. I have no interest in working for the king, Aelith replied as she stepped into her home and pulled off her cloak to hang it on the peg by the door. Her fingers drifted over Gwen's cloak, hanging next to it, sporting moth-made holes, another expense that only soured Aelith's mood further. She turned back to the woman, now in her doorway, finding her blinking with surprise. The woman hadn't expected Aelith to figure out her ties, and she nearly smiled with self-satisfaction. Nearly. So this is the first book in a trilogy. The second book in the trilogy is actually releasing in August. So I'm in the midst of that and actually just revealed the cover for it today. So it's been a very busy, exciting day. If you enjoyed the reading and you're interested in the book at all, it's on sale at Buffalo Street Books, the Odyssey Bookstore, and all my friends' books in Cortland, as well as the regular, normal online retailers. And yeah, the full trilogy will be out by the end of this coming January. So 3 books in a year.